Hey guys, it's Lewis from Recycle Bicycle Sales here. We did a video recently talking about road safety, and one of the topics that we mentioned on there was hand signals. In today's video, we're going to do a more in-depth dive into those hand signals. So why do we actually need hand signals? I think there's two reasons. One would be so that we can be predictable for the cars. That way, as we're riding around, cars know what we're about to do. I'd also say it's important for the person that's riding behind us to know if there might be a bit of danger coming up that they can't see, so you can tell them that danger's there so they know what to expect. So this is not only about increasing your safety, it's also about increasing the safety for the cars around you and the people riding with you too. Now, there might be some people at home thinking, why can't I just talk to my buddies? Well, if you've ever ridden a bike at a high speed, you know that all the wind noise around you and the sound of cars, and there's so much going on, so it's hard to hear what's happening. That's where hand signals come in. So here are the most common hand signals that you're going to use as a cyclist. The first one can be for pointing right or pointing left. As we're riding along, we're going to take one hand off the handlebars and indicate that we're about to be turning one direction. As you're riding along, if you're coming up to an intersection and you're going to be turning, we want to be able to use the hand that we're going to be turning. If for whatever reason you weren't able to take your right hand off the handlebar, you could use your left hand and try and point a little bit. It kind of gives the same idea to cars. It's better than not doing anything, but ideally you want to use the hand that you're going to be turning that direction. So ideally, when we're indicating, we want to hold our arms straight. If we're flapping it around a little bit, it can be almost distracting for the car. So ideally, straight arm pointing whichever way that we're going to be turning. Before lifting your arm straight off the handlebar, make sure you're not lifting it into traffic or straight into your friend that's riding next to you. Just have a quick look before you turn as well. When I'm riding along and I know that I'm coming up to a stop sign and I've got my cyclist friend riding along behind me, the way that I like to be able to show that we're coming up to a stop sign is I hold my hand next to me. If I hold it solid, it means stop, we're coming up to a red light. You can use either hand here, whichever one you're more comfortable with, either right hand or left hand. If you're riding along and you have a buddy on your right and there's a group of people along on your right, maybe it's best to use a right hand so that everybody can see it. If you use the left hand and your friend's riding on your right side, they might not be able to see you. So choosing a hand that's in the middle is ideal. It's important to do this one early for two reasons. Partly so that the people behind you have a lot of time to react, but also you're going to be taking your hand off of the brake lever to be able to signal that you're slowing down. So you want to take your hand off early so that everybody sees what's happening, and then you can get back onto the brakes and apply it safely. Ideally, you want it to be nice and visible. You don't want to just be hiding it down here like this. You want everybody to see that you're telling them to slow down. So we just spoke about stopping. Another one that I like to use is this means slow down. I'm kind of almost bouncing a basketball next to me. That's just me saying to my friends behind me, slow down. Not necessarily stop, just slow down. We're coming up to perhaps a busy section of traffic or something along those lines. If there's a piece of debris on the road, or perhaps even a big gnarly pothole that I can see coming up, the way that I like to indicate it to the people behind me is I point out just with a single finger, and I point at the pothole as we're coming up, and I point all the way until it goes past me. So somebody knows how close it is. Well, firstly, they know that I'm pointing at a pothole, there's something coming up, but also they know that it's right next to me now, which means it's about to be next to you. And I'll usually sort of flick my hand back with it on either side as well. And again, this is more just so that the person behind me can know what's coming up without having to see it. This hand signal can apply for both potholes and even just debris on the road like big sticks and stones. Keep in mind, this is a little bit different to slippery stuff like pine needles or water or gravel or something like that. I like to wave my hand like this to show that it's slippery, which is a little bit different to pothole coming up. That just means something slippery is coming up either side. This is really important because if somebody's riding right behind you, they can't see what's happening. If you find yourself coming up to a common roundabout, there's usually three different directions that you can go. We can go my left, my right, or we can go straight. And I can already hear you asking, what do I do if there's more than three options there? I'm just gonna say, point in the direction you're going. All that you're doing here is trying to be predictable for the people behind you. And another one that you might see sometimes, if you're doing a U-turn at the roundabout, you're turning around, I would just be making a circle motion with my hand so that everybody behind me knows we're going to be turning all the way around and coming back the way we came. The final one I want to leave you with is if you're coming along the road and there's a parked car or maybe a bin on the street or some large object that's just simply not going to move if you hit it, I would like to tell the people behind me by putting an arm behind my back, pointing in the direction that I'm going to be going. So how can you actually practice doing these hand signals? I think a good spot to start is safely in the car park or even at the local park here. I say that because you're going to be learning a new skill. You're learning how to ride with one hand off of the handlebars and practicing doing both of them as well. not only are you taking your hand off the handlebars, you're pointing it out to the side, which means that your balance might be a little bit different. This is something that I recommend practicing in a safe environment before going out onto the roads. A common issue that I see people making is as they hold their hand out to the side, they might struggle to keep their balance because they're not nice and central. To be honest, I don't think there's any fast remedy to this. It's just doing a bit of practice and trying both hands, you'll eventually get it. And hopefully with time, you'll do enough corners that you'll eventually get it perfect. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you've got a bit of an idea of how to be safer out on the roads. Now you can tell your friends behind you what's going to be coming up. If you reckon that there's any that we've missed that your friend group is using, let us know in the comments below. I'd love to add them to my vocabulary, not vocabulary. Otherwise, I'm going to say thanks for watching and we'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.